morning children. I hope class 10th children are watching this video and I hope you must be keeping well. Today in this video we are going to learn under real numbers. This is the continuation of that chapter and I think more videos will be required to complete this chapter. Today in this series we are going to learn irrational numbers, and under irrational numbers we have two theorems in NCERT books. Theorem 1.3 and theorem 1.4, and based on these two theorems are very important in the context of exam. Some important questions based on these two theorems that has been given in book, even in example that has been given in R.S. Agrawal, and in NCERT some questions are there. Even in R.S. Agrawal also some questions are there. So, first we will try to learn properly these two theorems, and based on these two theorems we will try to learn some questions also. So, again one request will be there when you are watching this video, please be with your pen, pencil, copy and book, so that together you can learn wherever it will be required to do calculation and all, or wherever you will be required to learn something by yourself. Just you pause the video, just you do yourself, try to learn again if it is needed, go back, watch, and then together you try to learn. Never try to procrastinate, never you think that okay now we will watch and later we will learn. That will not be possible. Right now itself when you are watching the whole content you try to learn. Okay, let us start. Here in R.S. Agrawal, irrational numbers has been given like this. The numbers that are expressible as non-terminating and non-repeating decimals when expressed in decimal form are known as irrational numbers. I hope these words are not new for you. Already in class 9th you have studied the numbers that are expressible as non-terminating and non-repeating, that does not terminate after decimal, after few numbers, and that non-repeating also when expressed in decimal form are known as irrational numbers. Examples you see, note that every non-terminating and non-repeating decimal is irrational. This you remember, every non-terminating and non-repeating decimal is irrational. Here you see type 1 has been given first, 0.101, 001, 0001 and so on. Each are non-terminating because after decimal this number is not getting terminated, and non-repeating also because this block is not getting repeated also. So, it is irrational, and that is why this will be irrational. This is non-terminating and non-repeating. Next you have 0.20, 2002, 0002 and so on, 0.303, 003, 0003 and so on, etc. are all irrational. Why? Because these numbers are neither terminating nor repeating. This is non-repeating, this is not getting repeated, and that is why this is irrational numbers. This again example has been given, 0.121, 121, 112, 11112 and so on is irrational. Other examples have been given in the same way, you can see. So, clearly by seeing these examples what we understood, again already you have learnt in previous class that the number which is non-repeating and non-terminating is irrational number. Type 2 you have, here you see, if m is a positive integer which is not a perfect square, then root m is irrational. Here you see, if m is a positive integer, any number you take, suppose 5 or 6 or 9 or 10, here you see, if m is a positive integer which is not a perfect square, then root m is irrational. Here you see, if you find out under root of 5, so this is not a perfect square of any number. then, or you can say 5 is not a perfect square of any positive integer, 6 is not a perfect square of any number, but 9 is a perfect square, because 9 is a perfect square of 3. So, this is not an irrational number. These numbers you see 5 or 6 or 10. So, these are not a perfect square of any positive integer, and that is why root under 5 or root under 10 or root under 6, they will be called irrational numbers. I hope you understood. Thus, root 2, root 3, root 5, root 6, root 7, root 8, root 10, root 11, etc. are all irrational. Here you see root 4 you do not have, root 9 you do not have, because root 4 is a perfect square of 2, 9 is a perfect square of 3. Type 3 you have, here you see, if m is a positive integer which is not a perfect cube, then cube root of m is irrational. The same thing is there here also. Here you see cube root of 2, cube root of 3, cube root of 5, cube root of 6, etc. all are all irrational, but here you see cube root of 8 you find out. This is 2, because 2 cube is equal to 8, and that is why cube root of 8 has not been written over here, that is rational number. So, if m is positive integer, which is not a perfect cube, then if m is positive integer and not a perfect cube, but here 8 is a perfect cube, and that is why 8 is not irrational number, this is rational number. If m is a positive integer which is not a perfect cube, then cubic under root of m will be irrational. In the same way, just you see cubic under root of 2, cubic under root of 3, and so on are all irrational. Here you see, let p be a prime number and a be positive integer. Here you see p you have, p is a prime number. Prime number means like 2, 3, 5, 7 and so on. P is a prime number and a be positive integer. Positive integer means counting number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A is positive integer. If p divides a square, if suppose this prime number what you have that divides a square, p divides a square, if p divides a square, then show that p divides a. You need to show p divides a. Suppose it has been given that p divides a square, then p will also divide a. This you need to prove. So, how it has been done, you see. Let p be a prime number and a be a positive integer. Suppose p be a prime number and a be a positive integer, such that p divides a square, because already that in statement has been written p divides a square. We know that every positive integer can be expressed as the product of primes. We know that in fundamental theorem of arithmetic we have learnt that every positive integer can be expressed as the product of prime. Here for example, you can take, suppose your p be a prime number, suppose this is 2, and a be a positive integer, suppose this is 4. A be a positive integer such that p divides a square. So, p this 2 definitely will divide 4 square, 4 square means 16. So, 16, 2 will be the factor of 16. If a square, it means 4 square is getting divided by 2, it means 2 is a factor of 16. We know that every positive integer can be expressed as the product of primes. Every positive integer, if you are expressing, that can be expressed as the product of primes, it means either 4 or 16. These are composite numbers. So, composite numbers can be expressed as the product of primes. Let A is equal to P1, P2, Pn up to Pn, where P1, P2 and Pn are primes, not necessarily all distinct. Here you see, suppose you have A. If you are factorizing A, this is a composite number. If you are factorizing A, what you will get? You will get P1, P2, P3. These all are factors up to Pn. And one more thing is there, it is not necessary, if you are factorizing this, P1 will not be equal to P2, it is not necessary. So, it may happen that one factor will be equal to other factors also. So, it may happen P1 is less than or equal to P2, or it will be less than or equal to P3 up to Pn, like this that case may be. Let A is equal to P1, P2, Pn up to Pn, where P1, P2 and up to Pn are primes, not necessarily all distinct. Then A square will be what? A square will be, if suppose if you are squaring A, then what you will get? Square of these products or these primes P1, P2 or P3, what you have got? These will be the square of these primes, like this it can be written, or you can write A square is equal to P1 square into P2 square into P3 square up to Pn square. This can be written. Now, it has been written that P divides A square. It has been given that P divides A square. So, P is a prime factor of A square. If P is dividing A square, here one example I had taken, suppose 2 is dividing 16, 16 means 4 square. If 2 is dividing 4 square, it means 2 is a factor of this number. So, here if P is a if now P divides A square, then P is a prime factor of A square. So, that implies P is one of P1, P2 or Pn. So, definitely if P is dividing A square, means P will be among these primes. So, P is one of P1, P2 or up to Pn. Since prime factors of A square are this, P divides A. Since A is equal to P1, P2 or Pn. Suppose you see, here you see P is a prime factor of A square, P is one of, so definitely P will be one of these primes, since prime factors of A square are this. Now, that implies P divides A, since A is again, if the A is equal to what? In the beginning only this was the composite number, and if you are factorizing this, you are getting P1, P2 up to Pn. So, among these only this P will be there. So, among these if P will be there, it means P will divide A. Thus, P divides A square, that implies P divides A also. So, this is very important, because based on this many other questions are there that is required to be solved. So, see again, if you have any doubt, what we need to do, if this question will come, if you have to prove that let P be a prime number and A be a positive integer, if P divides A square, then show that P divides A. If this question will be there, so your basic question is what? If P is a prime number, A is a positive integer and P is dividing A square, then you need to prove P divides A. This you need to prove. So, what we will do, let P be a prime number as it has been given and A be a positive integer such that P divides A square, that already has been given. Now, we know that every positive integer can be expressed as the product of primes from fundamental theorem of arithmetic. So it can be written as A is equal to P1 into P2 into P3 into up to Pn. These all are primes of A. Now if you are squaring A, you will get A square is equal to these primes into the same primes, and A square will be equal to P1 square into P2 square up to Pn square. Now P divides A square, that has been given. P is a prime factor of A square. If P is dividing A square, it means P is a prime factor of A square. But prime factor of A square are what? Prime factors of A square are these. It means from here only P is somewhere. P is a prime factor of A square. P is one of P1 or P2 or up to Pn. Now P divides A. Since A is equal to what? A is equal to P1, P2 or up to Pn. It means from here somewhere P you have. So that P definitely will divide A, and that is why P divides A square, that implies P divides A. If you have doubt, again once more you see, so that you will not be having any confusion. I do not think now you would be having any confusion, but then also you, if you think this is difficult, you can see again. Let P be a prime number, and if P divides A square, then P divides A, where A is a positive integer. What you will write? Suppose P be a prime number, A is a positive integer, and A is a positive integer, and then P divides A, where A is positive integer, and P divides A square. So now what we will do? A can be factorized as A is equal to P1 into P2 into P3 into P4 up to suppose Pn, where these P1, P2, P3, P4, Pn is equal to are what? These are primes of A. Any composite number can be expressed as the product of primes by the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, already we have learned. A can be expressed as P1 into P2 into P3 into P4 up to Pn. And if you are squaring this, A square can be written as P1 into P2 into P3 into P4 up to Pn whole square, or this can be written as P1 square into P2 square into P3 square into P4 square, or it can be written as P1 into P2 into P3 into P4 up to Pn into P1 into P2 into P3 up to Pn. By either way it can be expressed, but here you see, since P divides A square, what has been written? Since P divides A square, it means P is a prime factor of A square. If suppose P is dividing A square, it means P is a prime factor of A square. But A square is what? But A square is P1 into P2 into P3 into P4 into Pn. This is the prime one prime, or this is the prime factor of A square. Prime factor of A square is P1 into P2 into P3 into P4 up to Pn, or you can write into this P1 into P2 into P3 up to Pn. Here you see, if P is a factor of A square, it means P will be somewhere here. So, definitely P will be 1 of P1 into P2 into P3 up to Pn. P will be 1 of these factors, but A is equal to P1 into P2 into P3, means these factors are there of A. It means P will be here somewhere. If P will be here somewhere, it means definitely if P1 is dividing A, since this is the factor of A, P2 is dividing A, P3 is dividing A, these all are factors of A. In the same way, P will also divide A, because P is also a factor of A. Clearly, it can be written P is a factor of A. So, this I have written for making you understand, but in book how in proper way, in proper steps how it has been written, likewise you will write. For making you understand I have written, so do not follow this, but you try to understand why P will divide A or why P will be a factor of A. So, finally, it can be written P is a factor of A and P divides A. I hope now you must not be having any problem for understanding this. So, based on this, many other questions are there, you try to understand those questions. So, let us see. Here you see, this is very important question, because in exam also this it comes, and this is theorem also 1.4 in your NCERT book. So, theorem is what? Prove that root 2 is an irrational number. You need to prove root 2 is an irrational number. If possible, let root 2 be rational and let its simplest form be A by B. Suppose you need to prove this is irrational number, but you suppose if possible let root 2 be a rational number. And if it will be a rational number, it means that can be expressed in the form of P by Q. If this is a rational number, that can be expressed in the form of P by Q or A by B. And again, if in the form of P by Q it is being expressed, it may happen that the P and Q will be composite numbers, but here we have assumed the let its simplest form be A by B. Simplest form means these are co-primes, they do not have common factor except 1. So, suppose root 2 be a rational number and let its simplest form be A by B, means A and B are co-primes. Now, A and B are integers having no common factor other than 1 and B is not equal to 0. A and B are integers having no common factor other than 1 means they are co-primes. Now, root 2 is equal to A by B. Root 2 is equal to A by B. If you are squaring this both sides, root 2 is equal to A by B you have. If you are squaring, what you will get? Root 2 square is equal to A by B whole square. It means 2 square, root 2 square, root 2 and square will be cancelled, you will get 2 and this you will get A square by B square. Root 2 is equal to A by B. When you are squaring both sides, root 2 square will become 2 and A by B whole square will become A square by B square. Now, 2 into B square is equal to A square. Here you see, again you need to understand 2B square is equal to A square, it means 2 into B square is equal to A square. So, these are the, suppose this is a composite number, a square is a composite number, has been expressed as the product of primes. So, one of the factor of a square will be 2, the other factor is b square. So, if these two are the factors of a square, it means a square will be divided by b square and will exactly will be divided by 2 also. If these are the factors of a square, it means by these two factors a square will be divided exactly. So, here it has been written, you see, 2 divides a square, since 2 divides 2b square, and 2 divides a. Here you see, by that theorem only, that previous theorem what we have learnt, since what it was written, P divides, in that theorem we had P divides a square, then P divides a also. Just now we have proved P divides a square, then P divides a also. So, here you see 2 divides a square, then 2 will divide a also. 2 is, since 2 is a prime and 2 divides a square, that implies 2 divides a. Now, you can write also over here, if it is required, it can be written by theorem 1.3. This also can be written. Then one thing we have proved, that 2 will divide a. Now, let a is equal to 2c. Suppose we have supposed a is equal to 2c. And if we are putting this value a is equal to 2c in equation 1. In equation 1 you have 2b square is equal to a square. Now, if you are putting the value of a is equal to 2c. So, here you see 2b square is equal to 2c square. It means 2b square is equal to 4c square. Here you see 2b square is equal to 4c square. Now, 2 to the 4, it has been cancelled, you got b square is equal to 2c square. Now, again, if b square is equal to 2c square, it means b square is a composite number, you suppose, and 2c square, 2 into c square, these are the factors. So, it means this composite number has been expressed as the product of primes, and that is why both the factors will divide exactly this composite number. So, that is why 2 divides b square. Here 2 will divide b square, since 2 divides 2c square. Therefore, 2 divides b again by theorem 1.3. By theorem 1.3, 2 divides b. Since 2 is prime and 2 divides b square, that implies 2 divides b. Either you write by theorem 1.3 or simply you write this one. Thus, 2 is a common factor of a and b, but this contradicts the fact. Here you see, if both 2 is common factor of a and b, since 2 is dividing a and 2 is also dividing b. What does it mean? If 2 is dividing a and 2 is dividing b, means if a by b you have one fraction or one rational number, then if 2 is dividing a and 2 is dividing b, it means what? 2 is common in both. 2 is common factor of a and b. This contradicts the fact that a and b have no common factor other than 1. But what we had assumed? We have assumed, if possible, a and b root 2 can be expressed as a by b, where a and b have no common factor other than 1. The contradiction arises by assuming that root 2 is rational. Why this contradiction is there? Because we had assumed wrongly, that was wrong assumption we had, that root 2 is a rational number, and hence root 2 is irrational. So, finally, what you understood? if you need to prove this root 2 is irrational, you need to assume this is a rational number and contradiction is required to be shown. If contradiction you have proved, then this number will be irrational. So, by this way only some other questions also are there. So, two very important theorems you have understood today, you learnt today. So, it is very important, again and again you try, you write down and remember these, because this is very important for the exam. Okay, next you see, in the same way you have proved that root 3 is an irrational number. This is also very important, that comes in exam. So, in the same way we will assume this, you see, if possible let root 3 be rational and let its simplest form be a by b. Then a and b are integers having no common factor other than 1 and b is not equal to 0. Now, the same thing will be required to be done over here. Root 3 is equal to a by b, and squaring both sides we will get 3 is equal to a square by b square, 3b square is equal to a square, 3 divides a square and 3 divides a. Why? Since 3 divides 3b square, that is why 3 will divide a, or by theorem 1.3 you can write. Since 3 is prime and 3 divides a square, that implies 3 divides a. So, finally, you will get 3 divides a. Again you suppose a is equal to 3c, as we have supposed in previous question a is equal to 2c. Here you have to suppose a is equal to 3c. By squaring both sides and by putting the value of a in is equal to 3c in equation 1, you will get 3b square is equal to 9c square and b square is equal to 3c square you will get. So, again if b square can be written as 3c square, it means 3 will divide b square. If 3 will divide b square, it means 3 will divide b also. Here you see 3 divides b square and therefore 3 will divide b also. Since 3 is prime and 3 divides b square, that implies 3 divides b. Thus, 3 is a common factor of a and b, but this contradicts the fact that a and b have no common factor other than 1, and the contradiction arises by assuming that root 3 is irrational. We have assumed wrongly, that assumption was wrong, and that is why that cannot be a rational number, that will be irrational number. In the same way you have proved that root 5 is an irrational number, the same thing is required to be done. If possible, let root 5 is rational and let its simplest form be a by b, where a and b has been written in simplest form, and that is why they do not have common factor other than 1 and b is not equal to 0. Now, again root 5 is equal to a by b has been written and has been squared both sides. You got 5b square is equal to a square, and that is why 5 will divide a square. If 5 divides a square, it means 5 will divide a. And then again you assume a is equal to 5c. In root 2 we had assumed 2c, in root 3 we had assumed 3c, and here 5c. And then you put the value in equation 1, you will get 5b square is equal to 25c square, and you will get b square is equal to 5c square. Since b square is equal to 5c square, 5 will divide b square, and that is why 5 will divide b. So, you found the common factor again in between both, and if common factor is there, that assumption will be wrong and contradiction will arise, and that is why the contradiction arises by assuming that root 5 is rational, and that is why root 5 will be irrational. Then we have next other theorems also, but these theorems we will see next day. Before that, related to this, whatever questions are there, I expect you will do yourself, and especially for today, these three what I made you understand specially. These three means here you see, first of all theorem 1.3, theorem 1.4, that is in NCERT that has been written 1.4. In R.S. Agarwal, simply you have to prove root 2 is irrational. And you need to prove root 3 is irrational and root 5 is irrational. These much things are very important for your exams, and that is why again and again you go through, write in your copy, do practice and be ready to write answer yourself. So, once you go through in proper way and later you examine yourself, you assess yourself, write the question, you write down answer, and then you see you are able to write the answer or not. So, next day we will see next topic, and till then thank you.